Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So it's been a while since we've done our last House prediction. It's 2022. We have the midterms upon us in literally less than 3 months from now. And we've only done one House prediction mainly because of the fact that redistricting has been an issue and it took a long time to get solved. And I wanted to do an updated House prediction because this is going to determine the balance of power in Congress. Can Republicans get back both chambers of Congress? I think the answer is yes, but I think the House is much more likely to flip than the Senate, although I think both will end up flipping at the end of the day. But even people in the election mafia, Nate Silver, aka Nate Plastic, over at 538, as we like to call it, 527, because of how awful it usually is, he believes Republicans have close to like an 80% chance at retaking the House. I know it's much higher than that, as do you guys, but it's important to analyze this. Now, I wanted to say before we go advertisement mode, before we go product mode here in this video, that there have been a lot of talks about the fact, the recent polling does not have Republicans up by a decent amount, therefore it's all gloom and doom. And first of all, if you look at the polls in the summer of 2010 or 2014, at this point, Republicans were either barely up or you had the Democrats up by a sizable amount before undecideds were allocated, and registered voter polls became likely voter polls as likely voter screens are added. Also, it's important to note that polls keep getting worse if you look at primaries, and it's very likely that Republicans are going to end up doing much better than the final polls will say. So keep all of this in mind moving forward, but they say an R+1 national environment right now. I'm still going to go with R+5, R+6. It could be wider than that if Biden's approval falls back down to where it was or even below where it was. Obviously, gas prices are going down a little bit as approval got back up to 40%, but that's still much lower than it was in late 2021, where Republicans flipped the Virginia governorship and you had a very good night nationwide for Republicans. So do keep all of this in mind. But before we get started and fill out the map, I wanted to tell you guys about my very good friends over at Noble Gold. Now, Bank of America has just lowered its 2022 forecast for the S&P 500 by a whopping 900 points to 3,600. Saying we're headed for a recession this year. It said the new end target for the year is the lowest on the street. This is not good news for any of you stuck in equities or anything tied to the stock markets. I know thousands of people have put their trust in Noble Gold to prevent losing money in the financial storm that's brewing, and you can join them by calling their expert team. Noble Gold was recently voted the #1 gold company in the country by Consumer Affairs. No call centers, no scripted response, no BS. Just a straight, honest run-through option so you can decide. And by the way, they're giving away a beautiful 10th-ounce gold American Eagle proof coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k rollover this month. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. So we're going to fill out this map here. And we are going to start off going by state to fill out all of the competitive House districts. Republicans right now have 213 seats or so in the House, and that is subject to increase because, as we know, the national environment is becoming more favorable to the Republican Party. You had a D+3, D+4 national environment for the House in 2020. And even if you did have an R+0 national environment, you'd see a lot of seats flip. However, it's very likely it's going to be much higher than that. We're going to go with like an R+5.5 for this specific video. And we'll start off with Alaska. I think Alaska is going to stay in the Republican column, if not even by a safe margin there. So now we'll go down to the state of Arizona. There are several competitive races here. David Schweikert's district. He is under fire for scandals, but I believe he'll probably end up pulling off a victory there. You have Tom O'Halloran in the 2nd district. This one will likely flip, if not even safe, to Eli Crane. Greg Stanton, he's facing Kelly Cooper. He's got a lot of funding. I think this one stays in the Democrat column, but will it stay in the Dem column by a ridiculous margin? Probably not. And then you have Ann Kirkpatrick, whose district has been redistricted to be more competitive. You have a great candidate running on the Republican side in Juan Cisco Maney, and he will join that very solid delegation there, and he will flip it back by a lean to a likely margin. So already Republicans getting some pickups out of the state of Arizona. Nothing in Arkansas. California, there are several. The 3rd district, you'll probably see this one flip. It's a red district. It's open. Kevin Kiley will likely take it. In the 9th district, Josh Harder, he'll probably hold on. It is a Biden plus 13 district. You have Adam Gray in California, 13th, running up against John Duarte. Recent polling has had this very close. And many undecideds. I think that you might even see a flip in this district, honestly, just from the looks of it. In the 22nd district, you have David Valadao, one of the impeachment Republicans who actually survived. He's in a Biden plus 13 district. He still has a lot of funding, a lot of money. A lot of people are saying he might lose it. I think he'll hold on, but it'll be very close. He'll only hold on because of the national environment. These 2 districts will likely be in the Democrat column as well. Mike Garcia, I think that the guy's an electoral juggernaut. He will likely hold on there as well. Then you have Young Kim in the 40th district, who always outperforms Trump by a decent amount. She'll probably end up winning. Ken Calvert, the incumbent in the 41st district, he will likely hold on as well. A lot of these, Southern California districts, you have down ballot Republicans that typically outperform the presidential level in recent years. The 45th district, you have Michelle Steele. She will probably win as well. She's actually been relatively solid despite her district makeup, unlike Young Kim, who's kind of been a rhino at times. Then you have Katie Porter's district. This one probably stays in the Dem column, and Mike Levin likely holds on in the 49th district. So Republicans getting some flips in California already out of the gate. So now we're going to go down to Colorado, and you have the 7th district. This one will likely remain in the Democrat column, although it will get closer. And then you have the 8th district, which again, I think that you might see it flip. If it's just D+5 in a D+4 national environment, you're probably going to see it flip regardless, tilt to lean margin, definitely an open seat. That should be a Republican target right there. So we're going down to Connecticut, where you'll have 2 districts that are a little bit competitive here. The 5th district, I believe Hayes is the one that's under fire because of corruption scandals, and Republicans got their nominee in there. I think you'll see that one flip. I think the curse will end in New England for Republicans in House races outside of the lone district up in Maine, and I think Democrats will hold on to the 2nd district, but not by a super wide margin there. So now we go down to Delaware, where there is nothing. We'll go down to Florida, where there are some, but every competitive district is slated for the most part to go Republican. Salazar will likely hold on despite her being awful on the issues. The 15th will likely hold for Republicans. Hopefully you get Anthony Sabatini in the 7th district. You have Stephanie Murphy. She's not running, and her district is much more Republican now. The 13th, Charlie Crist is going to run for governor. He'll probably lose to DeSantis, but his district will flip back Republican in the process. And then in the 23rd district, that one will still probably stay with the Dems because it's Biden plus 15. So we're going down to Georgia, and there's only one competitive district, which is the 2nd district. It depends on black turnout. If black turnout is low enough in this district, it is very possible that it could flip. Otherwise, I think we'll put it narrowly in the Dem column, but it will be subject to change. So we'll go down to Hawaii, where there is nothing. We'll go down to Idaho, nothing. Illinois, this interesting gerrymander. I'm surprised the court actually upheld this one. But here we go. Sean Casten's district. This one will probably be likely in the Dem column. He'll get some of the sympathy vote as well due to recent events surrounding his personal life. And then in the 11th district, Foster will likely beat Lauf in that one as well. Then in the 13th and 14th district, I could see one of these flip. I think they're going to be closer. But as of right now, we'll put them in the Dem column. But I think the 17th district will flip back Republican. It is a dummy mander, which means they drew it to be Dem favorable, but not super Dem favorable because there's so many other Dem favorable seats. So in a nationwide environment that is moving to the right, it is very likely that this seat will flip back Republican. So do keep that in mind. We'll go down to Indiana. I think the 1st district will flip just based off of trends, based off of turnout, demography. Ruth Green will probably narrowly, I think, flip the 1st district, the Mervan seat, and you'll have one lone Democrat seat in the entire state of Indiana, the one in Indianapolis. In Iowa, there are several quote-unquote competitive seats, but I think we all know which way they're going. I think they all flip Republican. I think maybe the Axne-Nunn seat will be closer, but even so, I've seen polls that have Nunn up by a sizable margin. And I really believe that with the realignment happening, you are going to see every seat in Iowa stay red and remain red for a long time. So we'll go down to Kansas, where there is a new district that is much more competitive. The 3rd district, I think that one will flip back this cycle into the Republican column thanks to redistricting. So now we go down to Kentucky, where there is nothing. Louisiana, nothing. Maine, it is very likely the 2nd district. I honestly think that Poliquin's not a really great candidate. He overall is not the best fit for his district, and he's also kind of like somebody that folds on a lot of social issues. It's not somebody that typically does well in that district, and Jared Golden actually has a decent voting record, but I think that narrowly, because of the national environment, you'll see Poliquin narrowly pick it off. Either way, it's going to be very, very close. I could see it go either way. Maryland, the 6th district, David Trone's being left out to dry by his own party in the fundraising, from what I can tell, which says a lot because this district is usually, you would expect it to be still a Democrat-favorable district, given the fact it voted for Biden by 10, but still, you have a lot of the Maryland panhandle in this district. They're very angry. They came out very strong for Neil Parrott. I think this one is actually going to flip. And that'll be an extra Republican seat in Maryland. So keep that in mind. Massachusetts, nothing. Michigan, there's a couple competitive seats in Michigan. Peter Meyer, they say John Gibbs can't win because he's too far right. Watch him win anyways. This district might not like Trump very much, but they also weren't really that opposed to somebody like John James. They're not fully anti-Republican, and John Gibbs ran a really good campaign in the primary. He worked his rear end off. I think he'll defeat Scholten just like he defeated Peter Meyer. It's going to be close, and I think the seat would arguably flip back in 2024, but that's fine because I think John Gibbs is going to run for Senate and beat Stabenow. So keep that in mind. But Slotkin, I think Slotkin goes down. This is the year Slotkin falls. Dan Kildee, I think this is the year that he falls. It's the national environment. Look at this. We could even move this one up to lean R. And then the 10th district, John James is running in a Trump district. Yeah, John James is going to have no problem winning in the 10th district. So you're going to see some flips out of Michigan. Like I said, the map was drawn by the quote-unquote independent commission. That really wasn't super independent in my opinion, but they did a pretty good job overall in terms of giving Republicans their fair share and then some of seats because of the national environment. So we're going down to Minnesota. 1st district, you saw that special election there. The result was a little interesting because it was closer than expected, but again, it was on the same day that the primary was. I wouldn't read too much into that. I think that in the midterm year, it'll probably be close to safe. This is a district where down ballot Republicans typically do underperform Donald Trump. So I think we'll move it to safe, but barely. And then in the 2nd district, you have Angie Craig and Tyler Kistner. I think he'll actually flip it back this time. He came close last time. And the 3rd party, Legal Weed Party, actually is benefiting Republicans because in every single race, they managed to be on the ballot and take votes away from Dems, running their far-left candidates. So keep it coming. Keep trying. It's going to help us out in the long run. So nothing out of Mississippi, nothing out of Missouri. Montana, you have the 1st district there, where it's probably going to be safe red this time. It's a Trump +7. In this national environment, it should go safe red. Nebraska, the 2nd district, Don Bacon will probably hold on despite him being awful on most issues. So Nevada, here we go. There are 3 competitive districts here. I think the 3rd is going to be the most likely one to flip back, although it'll be close. I think you could very well see all 3 of them flip Republican because of the realignment that's going on in even many parts of Clark County. I'm actually going to stick with this. The fact is the Dems dummy-mandered their state. You're going to see Republicans hold their district upstate. Sort of by Reno, and a lot of the rural areas are a part of that as well. And they're going to flip back the 4th, 3rd, and the 1st, I believe. I mean, these districts were under D+9 in a D+4, D+4.5 national environment. And if you tilt that on its head and reverse it, they all should flip by default. That doesn't even take trends in Nevada into account. So I firmly believe that they will flip back. Then we have New Hampshire. I believe that the Democrats are going to hold the 2nd district, the more Dem-favorable one, although it won't be by a whole lot, and then Chris Pappas will finally lose this year. It'll be, I guess you would say, like, I'd say a 2 to 3 point win. I'll put that one as actually lean R for now. So going down to New Jersey, we have several competitive races. You probably will see Democrats winning the 11th district there. You probably will see Tom Keene flipping back the 7th just because he's got that name recognition. It's a big name, hard to defeat. He barely lost last time to Malinowski. He should flip it back this time. 5th district, you have Gottheimer going up against Pallotta. This one probably does stay Dem. I'd say lean Dem for this one and likely Dem for this one. So Republicans get one flip in New Jersey, even though it's kind of a rhino that's winning it. So going down to New Mexico, all 3 of these for some reason are classified as toss-ups. I think the 2nd district will stay in the Republican column. I think that the others will go blue. I think that you'll see Stansbury end up winning probably by, I guess you would say, well, let's just say she'll win it by like 7. And then the 3rd district, I think this one could be close. We'll wait and see as the months go by, but I'll put it as lean D for now. So the dummy mander grants Republicans at least 1 seat in New Mexico. Then we have New York, where they redid the map and made it relatively fair and reasonable. The 1st district, Zeldin's now open seat on Long Island. I think we'll move that to likely R. 2nd district, we'll put it as likely R. 3rd district, I think this one could say it could go either way. I'll put it, tilt D. 4th district will be likely D. Meliatakis' district, that one will be likely R, even though I would like to see her primaried. I don't believe it's going to happen, but I would like to see her primaried. The 17th district, I believe this one will be lean D. The 18th voted for Biden by roughly about 9. It's an open seat. I think this one will probably, I don't know, let's just actually move it to tilt R if it's an open seat. Same thing with the 19th. I think the 19th we could even put lean R. And then the 22nd district, I'm going to put that one as tilt R. Even without Katko, I think it could actually stay in the Republican column because of the national environment. So Republicans are already making some big gains so far. Now we're going to go down to North Carolina, where there are several competitive districts. And the 1st district, I believe that you will see Sandy Smith get a narrow flip in the 1st. This is a district that's losing a lot of its ancestral black population, and those that remain, whether they are black working class or white working class, you're starting to see some movement to the right, especially among the white working class voters. And it's moving to the right. Trump did much better there than past Republican presidents, including Trump in 2016. 6th district, I think this one will stay in the Dem column. I think Bo Hines is going to flip the 13th by, I don't know, a lean margin. And the 14th, we'll put that one as likely R for now. So already getting a flip or two in North Carolina. North Dakota, nothing. Ohio, there's a couple competitive seats, I believe all of which will go Republican. Majewski, great candidate. He will hold that district. He's a good fit for it as well. It's a Trump +3 district. It'll be lean to likely R. The 13th district, I really don't like Jessie Odo. She's kind of a rhino on a lot of issues, but she'll probably get by. And then you have in the 1st district, Steve Chabot, who will likely win at the end of the day. He usually outperforms the top of the ticket by a sizable margin there. So already in Ohio, Democrats are only left with 2 remaining seats. Now we go to Oklahoma when there's nothing. Oregon, there's several. You have the 4th district. Scarlatos is the nominee. Good candidate. Overall, I really disagree with the likely D margin there, especially if Republicans are going to be doing better at the governorship level in the state. I really think that if anything, you'll see this seat flip. And I think that maybe you'll see the 5th be tilt D because Scarlatos is a very good candidate. And then at the 6th district, I think you'll see this one be likely D. So they're going to get one flip in Oregon. I think it'll be the 4th district there. Pennsylvania, there's several competitive seats here. We'll go down the list. Brian Fitzpatrick, rhino, but a juggernaut. He will likely win. Houlihan will probably win by a likely margin. Susan Wild, I think she loses to Scheller this time. It's a toss-up district in 2020. I think you'll see this one flip. Matt Cartwright, I think this will be the year where the guy finally loses and goes down. It's going to be close, but I think he'll finally lose. And then in the 17th district, where Connor Lamb has retired and vacated office, It's a D+6 district that is kind of trending a little bit to the right. I'm going to put this one as Tiltar, especially when the Rust Belt realignment kicks in. And I think Mastriano will win. I still think Oz will win. That's not going to change regardless of what some garbage polls say, which we'll talk about that as we get closer to the election. But the 2nd district there, I think this one is actually going to flip Republican. The Rhode Island realignment, every little snap poll or just polls in general that we see from this district have Republicans up by a sizable amount. That's not the only evidence I'm going off of, but regardless of who they put up as the nominee, I think it could flip in this national environment. Nothing out of South Carolina, nothing out of South Dakota or Tennessee. Texas, there's only a couple. The 15th district, these are all actually downstate. Mayra Flores, I don't believe that her cucking on the amnesty issue is going to help her whatsoever. I think it's making her, I guess, frowned upon among a big portion of the GOP base. I think she'll lose narrowly, actually, believe it or not, to Vicente Gonzalez, because Vicente Gonzalez is actually running a solid campaign. He's running to the right. Is it a grift? Absolutely a grift, 100%. His immigration voting record is awful, but he's actually running to the right of Mayra Flores on that issue, and I think it's going to pay off, even if it is rhetorically. And the seat is moving vastly to the right, so it's possible Flores wins it. But I think as of right now, I think Gonzalez has the upper hand. And then in the 15th district, I think you'll see that flip because of the realignment, not even by a lean margin, by a likely margin. What's going on in South Texas, you look at the trend map there, it's crazy. And Henry Cuellar, I think that his scandals, even if they didn't catch up to him in the primary because he was running against a far-left opponent, I think the general will be where they do catch up to him. And Cassie Garcia will flip that seat. And she's actually really good on the issues, especially immigration, unlike Mayra Flores. So Utah, nothing. Vermont, nothing. Virginia, there's a couple races in Virginia. The 2nd district, I think you'll see this flip back. Republican, I think you will see the 7th district flip back Republican as well, albeit by a narrower margin. And then you have Hung Cao. Everyone's hyping up Hung Cao. He's running up against Jennifer Wexton. He is a very solid candidate, but this district is still Biden plus 18.5, and Youngkin, I think, lost it by like 5. So I think it's probably going to be lean D at the end of the day. So we'll move on to Washington State, where you have the 8th and the 3rd. I think the 3rd district will go Republican. I think probably by a likely margin or so. And the 8th district there, I think that will narrowly flip. Schreier barely won in 2020. I think she'll go down in 2022 by, I don't know, tilt to lean margin. We'll go tilt for now, but tilt to lean margin. So we'll go on to West Virginia, where there's nothing. Wisconsin, the 3rd district, is probably going to be likely, if not even safe, Republican. And then we have Wyoming, where obviously there is nothing. So this is the final map. Republicans still, even with recent projected changes, quote-unquote projected, by the election mafia, by the pollsters, etc., to the national environment, I believe that they still are going to gain around 40 seats in the House. It's possible they gain more than this by the end of the day, or they come a couple points short. But as of right now, it's Republicans 250 and Democrats 185. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day, but it is very likely Republicans do retake the House by a sizable margin. And as of right now, you saw Republicans last election, they were down at 210. I think when the final tallies were allocated or so, they got 213. And then now, Republicans are at 250 seats in the House. So that should tell you quite a bit. They're gaining some. The national environment is helping them. You're getting a record amount of America First candidates in Congress, and they are also likely going to retake the Senate. We'll talk about that later this month, as well as gain plenty of governorships in the process. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.